guys, if you are watching this on the replay, drop me a hashtag replay. And if you're new here, hey, I'm Cordelia Kate, and this is the Marketing Strategy Show. And if you are currently selling by the hour and you're exhausted from the constant hustle and hunt for your next client through the doors, just so that you can cover your basic bills, then this session is for you, especially if you think you need to nail your marketing. Maybe you need to get cold ads and you need to get fresh eyeballs in. But what if the problem isn't that you need more people? What if the problem is actually that you are charging by the hour and you are missing out on a massive leverage piece, which is going to enable you to grow and scale your business with the people you already have? So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through why hourly pricing is sabotaging your business and how you can start selling outcomes instead of hours. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So if anybody here is currently selling by the hour and you're probably in one of two camps, right? Camp one is that you look at your calendar and you're like, oh my God, I am so fully booked. Like I am wall to wall calls from morning till night, every single flipping day. And look, hey, at some point, maybe you were like, I would love to become a full-time business owner. And now you're like, yeah, I kind of didn't mean the full-time bit. Or if you're in camp B, which is that you're finding that the churn is quite high. You get a client, maybe they stay a few sessions and then they drift off and then you need another one. And you've got this unpredictable situation where you don't know how long your clients are going to stay with you for. Is a bit anxiety inducing. And you would just like to be able to have a bit more predictability, but also to not be chasing small amounts of money, £200 a session, £150 a session. Hell, some of you are even charging £30 an hour around the internet. And if you're in that camp, it's not because you're not good at what you do. Let me tell you that. Because if you're charging by the hour and you have people, even if you have people block booking 10 hours with you, 10 sessions, what that means is every single time they need to renew, you're asking them to recommit to working with you. And often that's at a moment where things are getting a bit hard. Like if you are someone who deals with mindset or you're a trauma coach, you are, when you're working with someone, digging into some stuff that might get quite uncomfortable. And in that moment where things are getting uncomfortable is the moment before a real transformation comes. And in that moment, you're asking them, do you want to buy another session? Should we get another 4 blocks? And what that does is it often cuts the transformation short. And it means people stop working with you before the transformation happens because you're asking them to recommit at a time when they're uncomfortable. So essentially, we're going to stop doing that and I'm going to show you a better way. The other side of things in terms of trading your time for money and having a calendar full of calls and having that income ceiling, you may feel like, well, in order to grow, I need to start selling courses or I need to start selling some kind of passive product. Maybe I need a membership because I can't serve more people how I am right now. And before we go launching another program that quite honestly you haven't got time to run because you are rammed with clients, I've got a better way of doing it. And it's that we're going to figure out what the transformation is that you help your clients achieve. And we're going to sell outcomes, not hours. I used to find this really overwhelming because someone said to me once, they were like, Cordelia, what is the transformation that you help people to achieve? And I was like, whoa, transformation. That's a big word. I don't know if I can help anybody have a transformation. That feels like the caterpillar and the butterfly, like completely different. But then I grew to know that it doesn't mean that you have to help someone to completely transform into another type of animal. You can help them transform just by adopting a new mindset. A transformation is just helping them to create a new version of themselves or learn something new or adopt a new skill, etc., etc. Okay, so here's what hourly pricing teaches your clients. If you're charging by the hour, you are teaching them that your worth is measured in time, not in what you help people achieve. When you charge by the hour, what you're doing is you are enabling them to think, how long is this going to take? How long is she charging me per hour? And then every single session, was that worth 200 quid? Was that worth 150 quid? Whatever your hourly rate is, every single time you're having to perform like a flipping pony to prove that that session was worth what they paid for. Because in their mind, they're paying for the individual sessions. So it doesn't matter if sometimes you're doing light work and you've got to dig into some mindset stuff. If they feel like that wasn't worth whatever your hourly rate is, they're going to feel like they're not getting value for money. when you know your process is helping someone get somewhere, often they have no idea why you're doing what you're doing and why that is an important part of the process until they have hindsight behind them and like, oh, now I understand why we had that session where you just asked me loads of random questions. Yeah, we needed the clarity so that we could create the thing that changed your life. So that's one side of it, calculating cost. And that calculation of cost needs to be against the transformation, the outcome that you help people to achieve. So we're going to unpack that. And I've got a process. I'm going to walk you through how we do that. Marketing has been compared to dating for decades. And the reason for that is because it is building relationships and building trust. And as you start to date someone in your marketing journey, they discover you on Instagram. And then, they sign up for your lead magnet. And then they read your emails. And then they book onto a sales call with you. That process is similar to dating in the sense that you are building a relationship with them. And that relationship is trust. You are building trust with them. They're growing to know you, like you, and trust you. The familiarity that they are having with you and your brand is growing. And alongside that, so is the trust. And so when you get that commitment, it's a real achievement that you have demonstrated that you are a trustworthy person and that you can get them there. And they are saying, I trust you. I trust you to shine the light on the path in front of me. Take me there. But you don't want to have to get them to make that decision and remake that decision every single session or every single block of 4 sessions. And lastly, you did not get into business so you could help people achieve mediocre transformations. You wanted to help people. You wanted to help change lives. You wanted to make a difference. What we're going to do is have a couple of examples of different coaches. In fact, you know what? Let's share screen, a whiteboard, and let's map this out. I think we should call him Mitty. He is our ideal client. Ladies and gentlemen, put on your relationship coaching hats. You are now a relationship coach. Now, this process works no matter what you are, whether you're a coach, a consultant, a mentor, a tutor, a trainer, whatever you are, this works. We need an example so that we can illustrate the point. So this is Mitty. He is our ideal client, and Mitty is currently going through a breakup. He is really sad. He needs some support. He needs some help. And he's been following you for a little while. You are a relationship coach that is within his midst, and he trusts your judgment. So he books a call with you and he becomes a client. He doesn't know what he needs. So on that sales call, he bought 4 sessions because you gave him the option of 1 session, 4 sessions, or 10 sessions. 10 felt like a big commitment. 1, well, he trusts you enough to pick 4, so he went with 4. So you are going to be working with him. Now, as a relationship coach, what is it that we end up looking at? Because I tell you what, it's generally not methods, tricks, and processes to get the woman back. It's usually things like helping you understand your attachment style, helping you improve your level of self-love, helping you create boundaries. That's generally what relationship coaches do, is they help you to work on yourself so that you can show up better in a future relationship and also pick better relationships for you. So that's what we're going to be working on him with. And maybe we get 4 sessions in and we're doing this kind of work, and it's quite what I expected. I don't really understand why I'm working on my own boundaries. I want Susan back. Give me Susan back. That's all I want. And that's what he's focused on. At 4 sessions in, you then ask him to recommit, and he's going to be like, well, hang on a minute. Is this really what I wanted? I don't know. I'd rather find someone that can help me get Susan back. And so he might leave. So if we think about our ideal client, we think about, okay, what do we want for Mitty? What do we want to help him achieve? What is the ultimate outcome that we know that working with us as relationship coaches would achieve? We know that it's actually probably not getting him Susan back. I mean, honestly, if we meet and connect and chat with Mitty, we realize Susan probably wasn't very good for him. She's not the one. So maybe it's the fact that he's gone on a healing journey and he's now feeling confident. He loves himself. And essentially, ultimately, he is ready to find a relationship that is good for him. Let's just put it like that. He's ready to find a relationship that is good for him. So then what we need to do is we need to go, okay, well, that is our outcome. Yeah. So step 1 is define the outcomes. Step 1 is define the transformation that you help people to achieve. Generally speaking, you may have multiple programs. You need to do this with those multiple programs. You may have multiple ideal clients. You need to do this with those multiple ideal clients. But just for this one signature offer or one package at a time, think about, what is it that I help people achieve? And you may sell session by session because you're like, well, everyone's different. But we need a ballpark average transformation that you help people achieve. And maybe you need multiple packages for multiple people. people to help them achieve different transformations because there's more than one that you work with people to achieve. That's fine, but we've got to start with one. We can't put everything in under one umbrella. So start with the main transformation that you help people to achieve. So for me, I help people to achieve, they have their own live show operating and running in a way that enables them to show up once a week, and then from that live show have all the social media content and marketing they need done for them with my live pod system. That's the outcome that I help people achieve. So think about, what is the outcome you help people to achieve? And then what we want to do is we want to define what is in the gap between where they are now. So Mitty right now is heartbroken, sad, and breaking up with Susan. And he wants to get to this place where he's ready to find a relationship that is good for him. And so what is in the middle? What is in the gap? In your professional opinion, what is this journey from here to here? And also roughly, if it matters, how long does it take? Because what we don't want to do is go, we have a 3-month one-to-one coaching program where we will have coaching sessions every week that help you to feel better. We want to actually define the outcome and then explain the reason why it's 3 months is because we have all these things we need to do between now and then that are going to help you to recreate your lifestyle or help you to heal or help you to overcome something. It might be that your turnaround for this is that it is a week. Actually, your deliverables and everything is done in a week. That's fine. It's still a package. It's still a package, even if it's a week. The point is that we are selling the outcome, and this is the outcome. So what we need to think about then is, how do we get him there? So break it down into steps. He needs to come to terms and then determine what he wants, and then maybe like formulate a plan and then implement the plan. And so you might create this with every single individual, where actually step 1 is a planning session. And then step 2 is you map out what that's going to look like for that individual over the next 3 months. And then step 3 is that you implement. And then maybe you've got like a midway checkpoint where you're checking in on the progress of things. And you know the transformation has been achieved because it's measurable. And that is really important. You need to be able to measure. How do we measure that? Because one day he might be like, yeah, I'm ready, man. And the next day he might be like, no, I don't want another woman ever again. And that's fine. But the point is that we need to be able to measure that the work has been done and that we have enabled that process to take place, and that he's now in a place where he feels better than how he did before. And this is a problem that a lot of coaches will have. How do you know when the work is done? What some people do is they do this thing called the wheel of life, where they will measure where somebody is at now, and then they will measure where somebody is at in a couple of months' time on various areas of their life, scoring from 0 to 10 in how they feel about a certain subject. And what that does is it shows the improvement over time. Like they maybe do a wheel of life once a week throughout the whole process just to check in on how they're feeling on certain areas. Another thing is that it could be that there is a process that, you know, if you implement every step of the process, it will give Mitty the tools he needs, regardless of whether he's mentally like adopted them. He's got the tools he needs. And so there might be 4 tools that, you know, if you go through every single tool, teach him how to use it and deliver that with him, then the process is complete. So you'll know what that is for your industry and your ideal client, but we need to have that measurable in place, because if we don't, you've got an open-ended, confusing process where you're like, oh yeah, shit, how do I explain to my client now that the work is done, that we are finished? It all feels a little up in the air. And so it's a really nice bow to wrap. So for instance, with my product, I help build people live shows and build the whole system around that. I know it is done when they have done 3 episodes. We have tested the system and they have the whole process in place and know how to use it. So you want to find, what is your measurable? How do I know that someone's got here? If you're a happiness coach and you help people become happy, that could be a problem. Happiness is not a permanent thing. It's a state of mind that can change multiple times throughout the day. We need a measurement for that. So if you basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, this is A and this is Z. What is in the gap between A and Z? We've got Mitty is now transformed. What is in the gap in the middle? What are the steps? So you could break that down into 5 steps. You've got step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, all the way to step 5. And then that is the process you take someone on to achieve that transformation. Then what we do is we sit back and we go, okay, what is this transformation worth to someone? How much would someone pay to achieve that transformation? What is it worth? Not how many hours is it going to be? How long is it going to take me to deliver? But what is the transformation worth? That's what you want to think about. And then that is how you package it up. You work out the steps it takes, and then you think about how much that transformation is worth. And then that is the cost of the package. So as an example, one of my clients recently, she was charging £125 an hour. And the most she had sold was one block of 4 hours. But you get into the block of 4 hours, and then you've got to have a conversation about booking in for more sessions and more. And this works if you are a counselor, a personal trainer, as someone that it is very natural in your industry to sell by sessions. I want you to stop and go, whoa, hang on, just because everyone else is doing this, does this mean it's the smartest way to do it? Because it's not. You want to think about in terms of, if you're a counselor, how can I start packaging up the transformation? Because it's the same thing. Session. And at the end of every session, I feel like shit, because what we've just done is we've just digged up a load of painful stuff that's hard to talk about. And then next week, it's like, cool, do you want to book another session? It's like, do I want to go through this pain again and have another conversation? I was like full blown. The people that are avoidant attachment style, avoidant, and then you get it's an insecure attachment style. People that are avoidance are going to run for the flipping hills. In fact, most people would run for the hills. They'd be like, no, do you know what, man? I can't go through that again next week. I'm good. Thanks. I'm good. So that's really important, that we're not forcing people to recommit when things are getting hard. We have to go through the shit to get out into the sunshine. And it's just the way it is. So, you want to have that locked in place, and then they know what they're working towards. Even if an hourly thing is so normal for your industry, it's time to break the mold and do things differently. And you'll find that if you do that and you break the mold and actually it's in alignment with what people want, you're going to far excel other people in your industry. As an example, one of my past clients, Katie Needle, she's a photographer, absolutely fantastic photographer. And when we started working together, she was, in her own words, a jobbing photographer. She would take any job on, and that would be weddings, birthdays, headshots. She would do anything you want photographed. She was there. And so what we did was niched her down onto branding photography, because that's what she was passionate about. And this whole say no to boring headshots messaging came out, and what she was doing at the time, and figured out that she was selling photographs in numbers. So for instance, you go on a shoot with someone and then they sell you 10 photos, and if you want more, you pay for them one by one as extras. And it is generally because they all need editing. And when she goes on a shoot with you, she'll take 200 photos, and she always felt a bit at the idea of only letting them have 10. So we decided, well, let's scrap that. And she just basically goes on a shoot and then gives you all the photos, edits the best ones, just gives you the raw ones of everything so that you can do what you want with them. And it is brilliant, because if you've got a brand like mine, blooper photos are brilliant. Ones where you're pulling silly faces and being really ridiculous rather than looking polished. That is what you want. And so she started to do that. Now, it's a really good way of packaging something that has always been sold by the number or sold by the hour in that sense. So it enables you to have lots of variety. That is an example of perhaps how you can take this philosophy and also use it in other ways. So just to recap what you need to do then, you've got step 1, define what is the transformation that you help people to achieve. Not what is the thing that you sell bit by bit. Like, even if you're a photographer, you're not helping people to achieve the fact that they've now got 10 photos. You're helping them to achieve social media accounts that look amazing and having a wealth of images that they can use to populate social media for some good amount of time. If you're a relationship coach, you're helping people to get to a new part of their life. If you are a graphic designer, you're helping people to have the visuals they need to achieve this kind of look on their website, or to really represent their branding in a certain kind of way. Then you sit back and you think about, okay, well, if A is where they are at now, and you do need to define where they're at now, that's an important part of the process, and Z is the transformation that I help them, what is in between A and Z? What's the journey that I need to take them on to get there? And this is where you start to think about features and benefits and those kind of things. But what you don't go is, okay, well, we'll have a weekly one-to-one call. Why? We need to have a reason why. What is that contributing? We have an example, a program called Package Creation, where Caroline helps our clients in Rebellious create the messaging around their package so that they can go to social media and sell it, and they have great clarity on what it is that they're selling. Because a lot of people really struggle to express and explain what something is. That process is that step 1, they have an onboarding call with Jennifer. Step 2, Jennifer books them in for their calls with Caroline. They have unlimited calls to get the product clarified and to get the messaging done around the product. Then they get those deliverables. The next thing that happens is they then apply that to an offer. So we get one of our high converting sales promotion strategies, and then get Caroline to take the messaging and apply it to that offer, so that we now have one of our proven strategies tailored to their messaging and their offer in the form of a post that is now ready to go out on social media to get inbound inquiries back in. And then they have a call with me that looks at, okay, well, what are your strategic next steps? Now you've got a package that converts, you've got a sales strategy that works. What do we do now? And then we strategize what those next steps are in terms of growing their business. And I give them a plan. And so that is an A to Z transformation of taking someone who is struggling to communicate what it is that they sell and what it is that they do. It's not about getting the results that they want. It's being able to manipulate and being able to control the outcome through the actions that they're doing. So having a working strategy that gets those results. And then we help them have that all in place so that they've now got repeatable sales strategies to use and a package that sells. And that is the outcome. Okay, let me know if you've got any questions. I would love to answer them. So, of course, as per usual, if you don't know, we have a community. Come join it, called the Strategy Lab. And the Strategy Lab is over on School. It is where I am sharing every single week. Off the back of this show, I create you a step-by-step process. So off the back of today, I'm going to be creating you a workbook that walks you through my process of creating a package, the exact same process that I walked one of my clients through, and she went from selling 4 sessions, it was the most she'd ever sold, to getting her first £2,000 client. And that absolutely changed the game for her, because it meant that she could work with less people at one time, and that she was really getting those transformations with working with them because they were completing the process. And so if you want to have a laid out step-by-step process, I'm creating you a full workbook so that you can go through my methodology, and it's going to be inside this community on School. Now, once it's created as well, it will be available to buy for $9 on the store. I have a strategy store where all of my downloadable playbooks are there for you to grab. But every single playbook from the store is inside this community. So you can jump in now, get a free trial, download absolutely everything. And then if you want to stay on, it's just $4 a month, which is ridiculously cheap. There are no upsells. It is not a marketing ploy. It is literally just the way that I can justify for myself spending the time to create those playbooks. I think this is the 14th one I've done. So you've got all of those playbooks from every single one. There's stuff in there on how to create a voice brand guide so that you get AI to sound like you, how to create brand images in Gemini or ChatGPT by creating a brand visual prompt that is you can use for every single thing. Every single week there's a new thing. So you can grab all of that on the QR code just there. If you're watching from YouTube, just click on the description and it will be there for you to grab. Right. It's actually just cordeliakate.com/school with a K, because Sam Ovens doesn't like to spell school properly. Cool beans. Well, that is a wrap. That's all from me. My name's Cordelia Kate. It's been a pleasure to have you watching this video with me. And yeah, if anything comes up in terms of questions, drop them in the comments. I would be very glad to answer them. I will see you back here for another video soon, I hope. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Lots and lots of love. Bye.